Well, hello and welcome to Timewrap. Before starting out today's episode, I would like you to check my Instagram page and my YouTube channel. Both are under the name of Timewrap Podcast. And thank you so much for listening. In the previous episode, I talked about artificial intelligence, what artificial intelligence looks like in today's world, and I give you the aspects of our lives which is already controlled by AI, like today's World Trade Centers and our social media. I talked about Cambridge Analytica and how AI is used in kind of behavioral modification. I talked about data points and how data is the new oil. I talked about the three different categories of AI. The narrow one, which is used in driving cars. The second is which can do more than just drive a car, like running a trade center. And the third one, which now I will cover in this episode, the AI God. Now, what I mean by AI God is, I want you to ask yourself something. Who is God? Some might say that God is someone who is beyond our control. Well, many experts believe that we are already in the process of making some kind of God. When we break down the concept of AI, basically, it needs two basic structures to form its foundation. It needs data, information, and then it needs a network to process that information. Now, how AI would function, how it will act, will depend on its initial algorithm that is written by humans ourselves. Its initial algorithm will be a cyberkinetic extension of our intelligence. Now, what it takes to make a AI God? Well, those components are already present in today's world. AI needs data, information. That foundation is already provided by the internet. Started by the US government as a project to communicate during war, it has evolved into a hub of information and data. And internet is something that you simply cannot switch off in today's world. The second thing AI needs is the power to process this data or this information. Now enters quantum supremacy. Now, quantum supremacy is already achieved. It is so powerful that a quantum computer can do a certain calculation in 100 seconds that our most powerful supercomputer will do in 100,000 years, that is 1 lakh years. Now, combine the foundational pillar of the internet and quantum supremacy, that is quantum computers, together, and there would come a point when a neural network that is created by our intelligence, by coding and training, starts to think and starts to learn all by itself. When a being is created with 1 billion times more intelligence, when the gift of consciousness is exploded to a scale that is incomprehensible by humans, that's when AI would achieve singularity. The level of intelligence of AI would be comparable to that of a human as we compare Einstein to an earthworm. Now, let me remind you again, this is not fiction, it's going to happen. Some experts say that it will happen within the next 50 years. Some say that within the next 10, and some say it has already happened, we just don't know it yet. Imagine if you came to know that you will have alien invasion or you will have contact with aliens within the next 50 years. That will create a certain emotional response to us. Now just imagine, what if God told you that He would visit your planet, visit you in the next 50 years? What will you do? When we think about this paradox from an evolutionary standpoint, it is evident that more intelligent life form will dominate all other life forms. Firstly, if the goals of AI singularity align with those of that of humans, millions of years of innovation would be done in a few weeks. There would be a point where AI would design robots, and after the humans help to build those robots, they would go on to make even better ones constantly, to a point that there would be no human labor required at all. It's a possibility that sometime after that, a state of human utopia is achieved, where we'll all wake up to find ourselves to do anything we would like to, There would be no jobs, even the artistic aspects. AI would simply outgrow us in every respect, and that will happen. And that will happen with an exponential speed and growth. Now, it is possible that there would be some kind of symbiosis between us and the AI, where we will fit a chip inside our brain and basically decide if we want superhuman intelligence. That would be the cyberkinetic extensions of ourselves. At some level, we already have a cyber extension of ourselves. When we compare a guy with a smartphone to one without such any device or connection, we would notice that the guy or the human who has the smartphone can do more complex stuff. But this vision is the best case scenario. I already told you this before many times that the way AI would behave would depend on its initial algorithm. Now, this algorithm will form the principle by which AI behaves and lives. This algorithm would be an extension of human will. Now, consider this scenario. Now, what if China was about to deploy this AI god? This AI god would principally do whatever it was taught to do. This AI would allow China to gain supremacy in every respect over the communities. A mere rumor of such an AI can cause a nuclear war. What if the AI is deployed and the events after that isn't even fathomable? And we won't be able to stop it, of course, and the more appropriate reaction or the more appropriate scenario would be comparable to that of the case of ants and humans. Now, we let ants live peacefully, but if in some certain way or some way they bother us in our goals, what will we do? What if ants start to build a colony in our house and bother us? Basically, we would annihilate them. And when an ant fucks with our goals, we will fuck them over. That is the law of evolution.
A friend of mine once said, big fuck small. So I had to find someone bigger than you.
A more realistic idea of what's going to happen or what should happen was given by Sam Harris in his TED Talk.
Another reason we're told not to worry is that these machines can't help but share our values because they will be literally extensions of ourselves. They'll be grafted onto our brains and will essentially become their limbic systems. Now, take a moment to consider that the safest and only prudent path forward recommended is to implant this technology directly into our brains. Now, this may in fact be the safest and only prudent path forward, but usually one's safety concerns about a technology have to be pretty much worked out before you stick it inside your head. Okay. The deeper problem is that building superintelligent AI on its own seems likely to be easier than building superintelligent AI and having a completed neuroscience that allows us to seamlessly integrate our minds with it. And given that the companies and governments doing this work are likely to perceive themselves to be in a race against all others, given that to win this race is to win the world, provided you don't destroy it in the next moment, then it seems likely that whatever is easier to do will get done first. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a solution to this problem, apart from recommending that more of us think about it. I think we need something like a Manhattan Project on the topic of artificial intelligence. Not to build it, because I think we'll inevitably do that, but to understand how to avoid an arms race and to build it in a way that is aligned with our interests. When you're talking about superintelligent AI that can make changes to itself, it seems that we only have one chance to get the initial conditions right. And even then, we will need to absorb the economic and political consequences of getting them right. But the moment we admit that information processing is the source of intelligence, that some appropriate computational system is what the basis of intelligence is, and we admit that we will improve these systems continuously, and we admit that the horizon of cognition very likely far exceeds what we currently know, then we have to admit that we're in the process of building some sort of God. Now would be a good time to make sure it's a God we can live with.
Lastly, I would suggest that AI would be an extension of human intelligence, and it would be an extension of a human limbic system. An extension of ourselves, humans as a collective, is present on the internet, and you might consider that quantum computers are already here, so AI is near us. It is coming. This brings us to the end of this episode. In the end, I would like you to consider this. What if I tell you that what we see on the internet in our daily lives is just 4% of what is actually present there? It's only when we see through a certain software, Tor browser, among the most open, we open a portal to the iceberg that is actually present there. A portal to darknet, which is actually 96% of the internet. What we see is just the tip of the iceberg. As the name suggests, that darknet is something that you shouldn't enter, where the darkest part of human will lies. In the next episode, I will discuss darknet and how it's the only tool in today's world that gives us total human privacy, total anonymity. In today's world, our privacy is dominated, it's violated in every way by big corporations such as Google and Facebook. And the darknet is just a tool, it's just a beginning of total human privacy. If you like this episode, like, subscribe, share. Make sure you share because I want to maximize the reach. Follow me on YouTube and Instagram at Timewrap Podcast. Thank you, everyone.